Welcome, everybody. This is Jane Gardner of Finding Your Purpose. And today on Spotlight, we are talking to Adrian Starks of Connect Now Business Network. And today he is going to be talking to us about his business. And Adrian is a keynote speaker, best-selling author, and chief communications officer of Connect Now Business Network. His mission is to help entrepreneurs, students, and organizations with teams who are feeling stuck, uninspired, or unfulfilled to become their own change makers. And he gives them tools and tips and strategies to get out of the ruts they are in, and will empower them and these individuals to find opportunities within the challenges, no matter how stressful their environment may be. Adrian lives by his supportive change maker philosophy that began with the desire to help others see that they can courageously make their own changes and become their own champion in their endeavors. Thank you, Adrian, for coming on today. And I would like to ask you, before you say hello, because you can say it at the same time, how you got into your business that you're in, how you found your purpose.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jane, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. I was like, is she talking about me? That's wonderful. So yes, let's talk about how I got into my business. So for a long time, even when I was a little kid, I got the name Motor Mouth because I had the ability to speak and to capture everyone's attention. So I did quite well with that later on in the years, as we can see now. I started out speaking a professional or in public in Seattle, Washington, where I used to live. And I started doing some spoken word poetry because I was fascinated with the idea of words, wordplay, and how do I inspire audiences. And that just led me into finding more things out about special orators like Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, and Winston Churchill. And I started thinking to myself, wow, I really want to start speaking more in front of people. How do I do that? Well, life caught up with me, and I found myself working in a call center for 8 years, a medical call center. But here's the interesting thing, Jane. That call center was the calling to the center of my life, which was speaking. Those 8 years that I was there, I wasn't very happy because it wasn't the place I wanted to be. I didn't find myself purposeful there in my own way. But what I learned was the power of communication. And I took those skills and I started going to workshops here in British Columbia on psychology and personal development. I started watching other speakers. And I said to myself, I'm going to leave this call center job and I'm going to go out here in the world and I'm going to inspire people through my poetry, through my self-development, through my inspiration. And what I did was I created my own purpose. And that put me onto the path that I'm on now, where I work strategically with entrepreneurs and business owners and helping them create their own opportunities within their challenges.
Wow. Wow. I didn't realize. Who knew that being in a call center is actually good for speaking? That's just amazing. I mean, I can see how you'd be willing to want to change your life quickly, but did you find calling people and everything really helped you understand people more in your business, and at least you learned something from being there?
I certainly did, Jane. What it taught me was the best communicators are the ones who say the fewest words and they listen.
Yes.
So in a call center, I learned very fast about empathy, listening to the other person, getting the information down, and then finding a way to provide assistance and to do it in a strategic way that allows me to be on their side. So there's interesting thing here, Jane. I worked for a children's medical call center. So imagine getting parents calling in about their children. No parent really wants to bring their child to the hospital at all. So I'm getting various amounts of emotions through the phones. I had to learn how to understand people emotionally, mentally, socially. And I did not know during this time of 8 years in a call center that I was actually growing into the person that I needed to be in order to get out here in the world and to speak and to help people the way that I'm doing right now.
Wow, wow. I mean, that's amazing. I know empathy is very important for being
Yes.
successful at listening for sure. So how do you use that in your new business? Well, it's not a new business. Maybe you could tell us how long you've been in your Connect Now business network, because it's a very exciting idea and concept. And I may be interested in participating. So that would be great if you could tell us how you could help me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the Connect Now Business Network that I am a part of, I am the CCO of it, and I am the Chief Communications Officer. I actually do speaking within this network, and I help entrepreneurs and business owners with the power of communication. Like, what does your language sound like when you're speaking to your clients? What does your language sound like when you're speaking to yourself? I find that we really push personal development to the side now. We say, oh, yeah, personal development is good. We need that. But how many of us as entrepreneurs and business owners actually take it very seriously and we work on ourselves 24/7 because we have to? Because with Connect Now Business Network, we believe that you are your business. And more importantly, we believe about the person behind the business. So I like to talk to the entrepreneurs and show them this is the language you're using. If you're trying to connect with someone, do you believe in what you're saying? Are you saying too much? Are you saying enough? Are you being very strategic about what you need to do in order to get this person some help? So that's what I work with my entrepreneurs and business owners on within the Connect Now Business Network. I help them grow, and I also help them look at their own challenges within their business.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, you were mentioning that you'd like to speak about change, and I can see how your business is all about change, making people more successful in their business and communicating better in their business. And I was wondering how you felt about the art of speaking as well, because I think it's very difficult for a lot of people to be able to speak, as you can see from me, and it's always a challenge for some of us to. And I'd love to hear what your experience has taught you about speaking.
Well, thank you, Jane. There's two things that people are afraid of: death and public speaking. So it doesn't surprise me when I hear about people that they have a little bit of a challenge with public speaking. Now, the art of speaking, what you just mentioned, I love that phrase, the art of speaking. And what I want to talk about is the word art. It's an acronym for me. I call it applying real truth. And I'll say it again, applying real truth to what you're speaking. So, in the art of speaking, it's very important for us because everyone at the end of the day is a public speaker. You speak in public all the time. But if you're going to do this professionally, or if you want to speak on behalf of your business, you have to be crystal clear about what is your message, because people want to know a few things. Who are you? Why are you here? And how can you help me? And if you don't know who you are, if you don't know why you're there, if you don't know how you can help them, your message is going to be very skewed. So, in the art of speaking, you must be clear about what do you want to do? What is the point of the conversation, of the speech? And Jane, I talk about this a lot with people who are looking to get more into speaking, and also my entrepreneurs and business owners who want to be more effective speakers. Because here's the thing, it's not about charisma. There's a lot of great speakers and dynamic speakers out there, but what makes them effective is how they deliver their message. What is the point of that message? You know, are you connecting with your audience, the people in front of you? If you and I, Jane, are having a conversation, am I connecting with you on a certain level? Am I talking to you in a way that you understand? If I'm throwing out a bunch of jargon to you about facts, information, and data, at some point you're going to be like, what is he talking about? So as a speaker, usually the least amount of words is the best. As a speaker, you have to be clear about what you are wanting your audience to do. What is the game plan? What's the action step behind this whole talk? If you're walking in a boardroom, do you know what the game plan is when you walk into that boardroom? You're walking into a classroom to your students. Do you know what the game plan is? you're walking in to meet up with a client, do you know what the game plan is, what the action step is you want that person to do? So if you know that, then the art of speaking becomes quite fun. It's like riding a bicycle. You learn about a handful of things. And then after that, you start learning how to have some fun with it.
I was wondering, that sounds great. I never thought of applying real truth when you're speaking. It would help. So that's a very interesting concept. And I hope that you'll hopefully have a book on that soon, if not already.
Yes.
Yeah, because that is certainly different from what I've not different, but I've heard that story is also good for when you're speaking because people connect to your stories. And I'm just wondering, obviously, you must use stories in your speaking as well, I would think, assuming.
I do stories all the time.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the power of story. You mentioned this too. Stories basically are the bridge that we connect to the person that's listening to us. Because you can talk about yourself all day. You can talk about what you have, what your expertise is. But if there's not a story, some common ground that a person can, on their own terms, connect with you, then you're going to not resonate with that person. This is why stories are so powerful, not just in speakers, but in movies. We know that there's always a story in a movie, an underlying story, because it brings us together. And more importantly, the brain, this powerful organ in our head that is designed to do two things, to protect us and to serve us. It's designed to see pictures. That's how we relate our world. We see images, we understand, we through sight, through smell, through sound, we have images, memories. So when a story is told, that person is actually visualizing in their head certain things. This is why, as a speaker, when you're telling a story, it's important to put in some senses of the story. Where was it? What was it? What did it feel like? What did it smell like? What did it look like? Because when you're doing this, you're literally painting the picture for the person to review on their own. Now, when you tell the story a good way, not just ranting through a story, but you're actually in the present moment of the story, that audience member, that client, whomever is in front of you, they will walk to that bridge of the story and meet you halfway. The next thing that you have to do when you tell that story to walk them over that bridge of the conversation is, what is the point? And so many people get caught up in the story, they forget to say, what is the point of all this? So you got to make sure you have that point after the story.
Yes, I was going to say that you did have already mentioned that we have to have a goal know what our action step is before we start speaking. So that's great. So we can add some stories in there, but we better make sure we actually tell people what we'd like to do. I was wondering, you also talk about change, and we haven't really talked about being a change maker. And our times right now, of course, are changing quite rapidly. And it's just amazing what you're doing right now, that you've managed to adapt to the pandemic with your business, and you seem to have been very successful with it. And how do you get others to understand that they can also change their story as well?
Ooh, change your story, Jane. I am loving
Yes, I
this
thought I'd
topic.
tie
I love
in.
this conversation. Speaking my language now.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about change. So here's the thing. There's one thing about change. Change is inevitable. It's always going to happen. So the people that are watching and listening to this right now, you cannot escape change. What I teach people is that you must be a courageous creator of change. Now, what I mean by this is that you have to be a person that you are willing to create your own changes within the changes. And this is why I talk about the word challenge. Look at the word challenge. Inside of that word challenge is the word change. The reason why we have so many challenges with change is because a lot of the changes in our life, we don't see them coming, and we're not prepared to deal with them. In this global pandemic, There have been many people who have had problems swirling all around them, but they have been unable to really adapt to the changes because they're focusing so much on what they can't change versus what they can. The greatest fear is not change. The greatest fear is remaining unchanged. And when we remain unchanged, we can't grow, Jane.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about growing forward. When we are able to change and adapt to change, we can actually grow forward in our lives. It's important for us to understand this now, that when you have a challenge, think about that word again, challenge. Inside the word is change. What can you change within that challenge? There's something to be learned, there's something to adapt to, and there's something that you can gather and enhance as your own personal strength, because I believe every obstacle we can take in and we can use to our advantage. I love teaching people about change because you can want all the success you want in the world. You can want to travel, you can want to have a better relationship, better health, you can have a better career, but none of that will matter if you don't change yourself. When I was in that call center for 8 years, we just talked about this previously, Jane. What got me out of that call center was my willingness to change myself and expand beyond my environment. I could have been like a lot of people and just stayed there and complained about what wasn't being done right, why this environment didn't work for me, and that I don't like my job, etc. But I decided that if I want to change, I have to expand. I have to become better. So I started looking at possibilities. I started looking at opportunities, and I started creating my own opportunities in this global pandemic. And even in 2021, and I always say this, Jay, 2021 is just four numbers. When that clock strikes 12 p.m., you're when I'm sorry, that clock strikes 12 o'clock, you are not going to automatically just have change in your life. It's not going to happen that way. We have to understand that we change what we do during our moments here on this planet. And that's really what matters to us, is to be an effective change maker. And I do teach this in my workshops about how do you go about being an effective change maker, because it's more than just saying, oh, yeah, I need to change. How many times have you heard people say that? Or you
Mm.
have said that? I have said that in my previous life. Oh, I need to change. I need to change that. But it never happens, because change is not just a word, it's an action.
Ah, an action. You know, I never even thought of change being in and challenge, change being in the word challenge. And I'm going to steal that. No, I'm not going to steal it. I'm going to make a meme and credit you for that. You're going to be one of my quotes everywhere
Thank you.
because that's a wonderful analogy. Because yeah, I'm 65 and I'm busy working on another company, and here I am still tooting long trying to get a business on the internet, and I love change, and I love change. But how do you get someone who doesn't really like change? Can you actually change them with your workshop? or is a certain personality, that kind of thing? I'm sure you're awesome and will be able to change anyone so that they actually take action on changing what they have to change. Obviously.
Great question. Great question. This is what I truly believe. We can never make someone change.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can provide you with the tools and strategies that can inspire you to want to change. But you got to want to, though. You can come into a workshop, you can go see a speaker, you can go anywhere, and that person can just sprinkle you with all kinds of words of motivation, inspiration, and data and facts. But if you don't have a personal motive, which is true motivation, it's having a motive. You have to have a motive of a reason to allow someone to help you to change. So if you're coming to a workshop or coming to my event or a seminar that I speak at, if you're ready and you're open to learn something new, you're going to change automatically because you are open to that. But if you're resistant to it, it's just going to be words thrown away in the wind. So we have to realize that when you want to change or you want anything to be different, you have to be open for the possibilities. And I work with multiple people when it comes to entrepreneurs, business owners. I work with students in schools. Everyone's the same at the end of the day when it comes to their life. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to feel appreciated, and everyone wants to feel like they have a meaning or purpose to life, which is why I love this show that you've invited me on, Jane. And so when we can realize that we want these three things, but to get those three things, you have to step into your challenges. You have to step outside of your comfort zone. That way you can see all the different things around you. We learn through personal experience. That personal experience cannot happen if you're unwilling to change what you're currently doing. If you do the same thing every single day and be a creature of habit, that's fine. But you cannot expect your life to be any better if you're not doing anything different.
Awesome. I totally agree. That's great. I'm glad that I'm sure that's the first thing that you tell people in your workshop, because yeah, if you're not willing to change, you'll never change. But yeah, so I wanted to speak about your podcast because I love the idea of the purposeful life. And you've just started it in 2019, you were saying. So I'd love to hear how that ties into your business and how you feel it incorporates itself into your business, doing it.
Thank you. Yes. So the podcast is the Purposeful Life Show podcast. It's actually on the connectnowpodcast.com. Connectnowpodcast.com. And this show was designed to help people from all walks of life. Now, I do focus heavily on entrepreneurs and business owners because that's my passion, because I'm one. But I do have it open for people who are looking to transition, maybe out of a job. I call it the exit strategy. If you're wanting to change something, if you're wanting to go up in the upper echelons of command of your certain business, if you're just wanting to change relationships, or you're wanting to change your health or anything, this podcast is designed to give you some tools and strategies for some breakthroughs for change in your life. And I talk about elements of self-development, mindset, emotional balance. I talk about health. I talk about, here's the thing. If you want a successful business, you have to know what success is. Success is not a result. Success is a process. So in this podcast, I talk about the elements of that. I bring on people who are actually very successful in what they do. I talk about what are their challenges, because I want people to know that we're all human at the end of the day. And it's okay to be vulnerable. That's where your strength is. You see, we live in a time now where it's information based. People are tired of the cookie cutter approach of I have it all together. I have no challenges. I'm quite successful, and so can you be. People are tired of hearing that. They know that behind closed doors, people are still human. And I want people to see that although this person does have a challenge, have a success in their life, they still have challenges. So, how did they get to where they are now? What's currently challenging them? How do they deal with challenge? I want to know what other people do in the midst of their challenges in their life. And the idea of the Purposeful Life Show, I chose that title because I want people to be purposeful toward their life. You see, you have to live on purpose. When you get out of the bed in the morning and you want to run your business a certain way, do you have the intention of doing that? Or are you waking up saying, oh, I hope that today is better than yesterday? And I get some people that may want to sign with me, or some people that want to join my network or whomever. No, you have to get out of that bed and saying, I'm going out here to deliver some powerful things to the people in my community, into my marketplace. And I'm bringing value to the marketplace. See, that's the thing. The marketplace out here, where you're working, where you want to be, they're not paying you because you're just this friendly, bubbly person. They're paying you for the value that you're bringing to it. What are you providing them with? So this podcast, a Purposeful Life Show, I want people to see that people come from all walks of life and they provide value. And the key is, what value can you bring to the planet?
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I certainly agree that, yeah, you needing to just showing other entrepreneurs who are successful, who have challenges very similar to yours or mine or anyone else's really, really helps. And I'm grateful that you do that because, yeah, it's really important to do that. So I was wondering, maybe you could speak about your ebook, Finding Your Inner Champion. I think being a champion in your own life is really important. And maybe I'll just put up the little offer here, just while you speak on it, just so the people can write it down while you're speaking and find it. That would be great.
Okay, great. Thank you. So before I talk about this book, let me
Mm-hmm.
elaborate on the word champion. I know there's a lot of confusion for some people because immediately we have gone to the state of, well, isn't champion an athlete?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a winning contestant? Isn't that a person who is competing? Yes, that's some of it. But in actuality, a champion is an advocate, a warrior, or a defender of a cause. And you will hear it sometimes, people say, well, they're championing for this, they're championing for that. How often do you call yourself a champion? Because we associate it with something that we feel is not a part of us. And it actually is. The champion inside of you is that person who is willing to fight for you. You see, I feel like we have to go in, we got to beard the lion at times. And for those of you who don't know what I mean by that, you got to go in on the opponent's territory and challenge them. You got to go inside yourself and challenge yourself to bring out that better part of you. This is what I call finding the inner champion. You got to go in and sit yourself down. And as Howard Thurman would say, he was a great mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You got to sit yourself down, accept your facts, and have a personal civil war between the person that you no longer want to be and the person you want to be. And that is hard to do. That's why I call it finding your inner champion, because you got to go inside yourself and you got to get through some rubble. You got to get through some mess because you're going to have aspects of you that you have built over time because you think that's who you are. No, that's conditioning. See, that who we really are is a person that cannot be defeated. The great Socrates, great Greek philosopher, I have him tattooed on my forearm. I love him. He said that the secret to change is to not focus your energy on fighting the old, but focus your energy on building the new. Building the new means you go in and you start finding things, aspects of yourself, things that you like, things that have been, and you start looking at these things and saying, what can I do? What can I elaborate more on? And you got to start calling yourself out a little bit too. So in this ebook, Finding Your Inner Champion, I talk about my personal experience that really rocked my world, that made me think differently about how I saw myself. Now, this is not a motivational story of a rah rah, I've been through this and you can do it. No, I dig deep into the aspect of what happened, why it happened, my vulnerability, what 3 steps did I have to do in order to get myself out of what I call the tunnel of fear. In this book, I talk about how to build up your inner champion, what that looks like, how you can use it in your business, in your personal life. It is critical that you begin to champion for yourself. We live in a time now where we're so focused on distractions around us. We're so focused on what's not happening that we forget that all our life matter, all that life matters to us is home base, what we're creating right now with our thoughts, with our feelings, and with our actions. And when you find your inner champion, you will do like I did. You will leave whatever place that you're in right now that you feel that you're stuck, and you will start expanding beyond that environment because you'll start creating opportunities within the challenges because you know something a little bit different about yourself, and you're using that inner champion to guide you where you need to go. And I call it the GPS, going positively somewhere.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that was how much value is in the book. I've got a copy, so I'll have to read it for sure, because that sounds like the perfect book for students and for people who are interested in taking a leap into entrepreneurship, and for everybody,
Yes.
really, isn't it? Just to find out who you are and what your purpose is in life and what makes you happy. That's so exciting, Adrian. I just blown away. I'm going to have to read that right away. So Adrian, before we go, I'll put up the offer later. No worries, for everybody to write down. But before we go, I just want to say how awesome this has been. And is there anything you want to leave us with before more wisdom before we go? That would be. I mean, you just been blowing me away. So I'll just have to give it back to you for a few minutes and just sum up what you'd like to tell us, please.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be on the show. This is what I want to leave with you guys today. You're human. And you're here on this planet to do some very powerful things, but it's up to you. Part of your personal sacred birthright is to leave this planet better than when you showed up. It's not about labels. It's not about what you have. It's about what you do, what you create. We are co-collaborators of creation with nature. And you have the ability right now to change your life. You have the ability right now to take steps further into enhancing yourself, enhancing your health, your personal relationships, your career. It is up to you. Be your own change maker. And to do that, you've got to do three things. Three things to effectively change. One is accepting change. The second is addressing change. And the third is embracing change. I talk about this in one of my talks that I did last year, called Growing Forward. You can go on championup.net to see that talk. 2021 is around the corner. As I mentioned before, it is just 4 numbers. Don't get so set on the fact that, well, it's a new year, it's got to be better for me. Get set on the fact that this is another year that I have to be on this planet, and I'm going to make some good out of it. Because here's the thing about life. Life is risky. It's so risky, you can't get out of it alive. So if you don't learn how to effectively deal with changes, your life is going to be more of a misery than it is going to be more of a learning lesson, experience, a journey. I also love talking about success because I truly believe we radiate success. Don't get success and achievement mixed up. A lot of people do this. They think, well, if I've got this, I must be successful. No, that means you achieved this. Great job. Now what next? As human beings, we are goal driven. This is why right now during the holidays, kids are more excited in the anticipation up to Christmas or the holidays. And you notice after the holidays or that day after they play with their toys, they open everything, they're back to themselves again. And parents were like, why? I just gave you everything. Because goal driven, they were excited. You've been excited going to dinner, going out to dinner somewhere or going on a trip. Hopefully we can do this in 2021. But then are you so excited coming back? No, because you've accomplished the goal. So as humans, we are goal driven. We are happiest when we're in pursuit of something. So let your success be about the journey of something. What is that journey for you? Along that journey, you're going to have some great challenges. I'm going to go back to what I said before. Inside the word challenge is the word change. And when you have a challenge, ask yourself this question. What change do I need to make to look at this challenge, this problem, from a different point of view or perspective? Because when you do that, when you change your view of something, that view of that thing begins to change. And I'm not throwing the word change around because it's easy. No, it's not easy. If it was easy to do, everyone would do it. But what I want to do is get you excited about the art of change. How can you be an artist of it? How can you be your own change maker? Because change is a powerful thing that you can use to change your world. Because you can't change the whole world. If you focus enough and be that courageous creator, you can surely change your world. Get that ebook, download it, read it, but read it and think about it some a little bit and use it in your life. Apply it. Don't just read, apply. Go to the Connect Now Business Network website to learn more about the community of people who are doing the things that I am talking about. You see, I'm not around people that don't want to change or don't want to grow. I'm around people who do want that. And when you surround yourself around people who support change, they support growth, they support challenges for you, you're going to expand further than you could ever imagine. And now is the time to be a part of a network, be a part of a group of people, be a part of like-minded people that can see who you really are and allow you to shine in 2021. Because let me tell you something, 2020 was hard. You deserve some payback. So you better start investing in yourself right now. And in 2021, start collecting your checks because you deserve way more than what you've been getting, but you got to bring your value to the marketplace. It's time to make some changes in your life. Thank you.
Adrian, you blow me away. I'm speechless. Change. To be honest, change has never been in my sorry, I'm speechless because it, to me, change, as you say, has been negative and never thought of it. Of course, we're always changing. So this is wonderful, Adrian. I'm just going to have to connect with you another time as well. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
And changing my mind. And I'm hoping to have a few quotes by Adrian on my internet website, because this would be a perfect for 2021. So thank you, Adrian.
You're welcome. And thank you, Jane, for having me on your show. This is a wonderful platform that you have. And thank you for bringing purpose to our lives. We need this more now than ever. So thank you for creating this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Adrian. Sorry, I was just so stunned I forgot to change it to your face. So thank you, Adrian. Please so we'll be talking further, I'm sure. And thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you would like to book Adrian Starks as a speaker, you can get him at www.bookadrianstarks.com. You can check out his website at championup.net, and you can get his free ebook on finding your inner champion at http://jgtips.com/inner. And you can contact him and find out more about the Connect Now Business Network at https://cnbn.ca. Thank you.